Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm joined here with Eric once again. How you doing, Eric?
Pretty good, yeah.
Pretty good. What you just do?
I took first place, going undefeated at the Card Exchange OTS Championship with
Man,
Runick Spright.
nice, man. You've been killing it lately. How does it feel?
Feels pretty good. Hopefully, I can win another playmat. Just go and farm those Curry Kara playmats.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I remember last time you were on the channel too. We were talking about you getting first place at regionals. I know this wasn't regionals, but you basically played like same amount of rounds, right? Because it was like 6 in Swiss.
Yeah, it's
and
6 rounds of Swiss and then top 8 cuts, so 9 rounds in total.
Yeah, which is about regional right there. So
Yeah,
congrats.
a bit easier than regionals, probably like fewer people, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you want to say anything before we get into the deck profile?
Yeah, shout outs to everyone who lent me cards and let me play this deck, yeah.
Awesome. See it.
Alright, so for the Spright lineup, we have 3 blue, 3 jet, the red, the carrot, and the pixies. Basically just the standard 9 monsters, and then the 3 starter, the 1 smashers. And then the Frog Engine, 3 swap, 1 Ronin. Pretty standard.
R.I.P. to Ronin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poor Ronin.
Such a good card.
The deck won't be the same without it.
No.
And then for the Runick card, we have 1 Fountain, 3 Tip, 3 Freezing Chain, 3 Flashing Fire, and 3 Runick Destruction. Basically, I wanted to max out on all the good Runick cards, and these 4 are the best like Runick quick play spells. All the other Runick cards are not that great, so I just wanted as many Runick names as possible without running any of the bad Runicks. Destruction's probably like the worst of these 4, so some people play it at 2, but
Yeah.
I think just opening 2 Runicks is just so insane that I wanted to max out on the names.
Okay, for sure. So you wouldn't change this ratio?
Yeah, I think this is probably the ideal Runick ratio. The back row, worst case, destruction if there's no back row to like pop. It's just another level 2 extender, so it's still good. And then 2 desires. This is the Chancy Goo. If you watched his video from Vancouver,
Yeah.
I think I resolved desires and then drew into my second desires 4 times that tournament. So some of the draws could have been better, but this card I still thought was just insane because every time you play like a Spright Mirror and your opponent's on Prosperity and you're on Desires, you activate Desires, and it felt like the card advantage was just so insane. And then the hand trap lineup, 3 Nib, 3 Crow, 1 Imperm. Crow and Imperm, they're probably the best like hand traps for this format, so I wanted to run these 6 for sure. And then the Nib, at locals there's a lot of like danger tier players, so I wanted to be like ready for danger tier. So I put in the 3 Nib, and then weirdly enough at the OTS like championship, I played just a lot more Spright than danger tier, so if I knew I was gonna play a lot more Spright, I'd probably put in the 3 Dark Rulers over the 3 Nibs. But the Nibs still performed like decently. I lost 7 out of the 9 die rolls, so basically every Spright Mirror I was going second. And then I was opening Nib and they were summoning Gigantic on like the 3rd summon, so Nib was dead on like the 1st turn. But then on the 2nd turn I'd like break their board and build my own board, and then on the 3rd turn when they're trying to break my board and like build up their own board, the Nib actually came up, and Nib on like the 3rd turn of the game normally was what kind of closed out the game in some of those mirrors. So the Nib like performed surprisingly well in the tier mirrors that day. And then last card, 1 triple tack.
Yeah.
Kind of an awkward ratio. I'd say the Only thing I'd change about the deck list is I'd figure out like more ideal ratio for these 4 cards, because it's kind of awkward having like the one triple tack. But I wanted to be more prepared for the Spright mirror, and I think triple tack is like insane in the Spright mirror, because Sprite's one of the few decks like still running hand traps. So triple tack's like pretty good going first and going second, because it's always live going second, so it just helps break the boards. So I wanted an option to have 3 triple tacks in the main deck post side. So I run the other 2 triple tacks inside just for the tier mirrors. And that's it for the main deck. It's 42 cards.
42 cards, awesome.
Yeah. For the extra deck, we have 2 Hugin and 1 Jerry. Basically the standard Runick ratios. This guy didn't really come up in the tournament, but he can also sometimes help like with breaking boards going second, because you can go battle phase, summon Jerry off like any Runick card, and then crash into like the elf to destroy something, and then that can help clear boards. That, and sometimes the effect to add the fountain back comes up. Never came up during the tournament, but yeah, it could come up.
Yeah.
And then 2 gigantic, 1 toad, and a lot of links. So I played 3 elf, 1 dark, 1 IP, 1 zero Boros, 1 unchained, 1 unicorn, and 1 access code.
Alright.
The 3 elf, for sure you need to be running 3, because this deck kind of grinds more and the games go to more turns since you're skipping battle phase.
Yeah.
Dark, because dark is insane. IP, because a lot of the times if you have the extra bodies, you can end on IP, elf, and toad, and then the IP is just like 1 more interrupt, because you can go into the unicorn or the abomination sometimes. And if you have a runic card like flashing fire or destruction, then going into the unchained just gives you an extra pop if you already have like that way to pop like the flashing fire.
Oh, okay.
And then I ran the zero Boros because I wanted to respect like back row decks, and sometimes some decks are kind of strangely like resilient to destruction removal. Like if like branded Despia, if they have the opening, then you need some kind of removal that's not destruction. And same with like tier sometimes, if there's some like tier cards and you don't want them to float. But this was coming in mostly just for like the back row decks. If I go first and then play into Eldritch and they set 5, then I could have the option to end on an IP so that I can IP into zero Boros and just banish the set 5. And then at that point, like the Eldritch, at that point Eldritch just auto loses, and since it's an OTS championship, you still could see Eldritch. Never saw Eldritch, so didn't really make this card very often. But I figured it could come up.
Right, it's good to be prepared.
Yeah. And then Unicorn and Access Code. Unicorn just because sometimes, again, it's nice to have a non-destruction like removal, so sometimes the spin removal comes up. And then Access Code. Access Code actually came up a lot more like in the Spright mirrors than I thought, because in the Spright mirrors there were a lot of situations where they'd out the Toad, but they'd leave like an IP and some like link material, so then on turn 3, if I went first, I'd make an access code with the IP or whatever link material was left on board, and then access code would just out the board because it outs the board in a way that like Toad can't respond to, of course. And oftentimes they'll also burn like the smashers to clear your board, so if you see them burn the smashers and they leave up like enough bodies, you can make this just to clear the board. Access code kind of rarely came out for OTKs, but just as another way to clear bodies off the board. It was pretty good,
For sure. Super important in this deck since you don't have your battle phase. To clear the boards.
And then side deck, 3 dark rulers for the Spright mirrors, and 3 triple tack for Spright mirror. Or sorry, 2 triple tack. Post side, you go to 3 triple tack if you're playing a Spright mirror, because triple tack's insane in that matchup. And then the 3 D-shifter and 1 gamma burst package for when you're playing tier. The theory behind this is if you're playing tier and you go second, then you shifter them, and then they kind of just pass, and then on your turn you spam out just a bunch of small bodies and then gamma burst to try to go for game.
Have you done it?
Not at the OTS, but I did it the locals the night before the OTS.
Okay.
My opponent was playing Punk Spright or Punk tier,
Yeah.
and he went Foxy Tune effect, and I chained Shifter, and then he just passed on an empty board, and then Gamma Burst was like enough for game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 1 Duster, card's good. 3 Evenly, 1 Reboot, Rip Reboot.
Yeah.
And then 1 red because its attack is really high.
Oh yeah. Plus
Yeah.
it's a tuner, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a tuner. Yeah,
That's true. Even though you don't play half, but.
Yeah. Played for the attack and nothing else. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It's a level 2. It's a level 2.
Yeah.
All right, bro. You want to go over your tournament report real quick? Do you remember your
yeah,
matchups?
sure. Round 1, that was the only draw of the tournament.
Yeah.
It was against Brave Dragon Link.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
okay.
then round 2. Yeah, I don't really remember round 2 that well. I think round 2 was Exo Sister. I played 2 Exo Sister in Swiss.
Oh, okay.
So I think round 2 was Exo Sister. Round 3 was probably a Spright Mirror. Round 4 was another Exo Sister. Round 5 was Branded Despia.
Okay.
And then round 6 was Rika Sun Avalon in Swiss.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Gotcha.
I ended Swiss 5 wins and 1 draw. And then for top 8, I played against Tierlement in top 8 of Swiss.
Yeah, branded tiers, I think, right?
Yeah, branded tier.
Branded tiers, yeah.
And then top 4 was another Spright Mirror. And then the finals was a Runick Spright Mirror.
Yeah.
I think for the finals, that was one of the die rolls for the day. So every match that I won the die roll, the match just felt so easy. And like every match that I won the die roll was just 2-0. So I won the die roll, had a massive advantage from winning the die roll. And then I think my list was like a bit better because he was on Underworld Goddess and no access code, and in that match the access code definitely came up. And then I think he wasn't on Desires and I was on Desires, and I felt like the Desires also came up. So I felt like, I think in the finals, like the mirror, the access code and the Desires was what really pushed like my deck over the edge.
Yeah.
Over his list. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. It was, in the finals came up clutch. Even in top 4 it came pretty clutch, right? Or
Yeah,
actually it was
yeah.
tactics in top 4. Where you tactics and drew into a starter.
Yeah. I think in top 4, in the top 4 match, tactics and access code both came in like pretty clutch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Access code, yeah, because I remember you were under anti-spell and then you popped your access code.
Yeah.
And you were able to activate your tactics and drew into a starter, man.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Really like some harder cards, bro. Because then in the finals, when you went Desires too, you Desires into blue, right?
Yeah. Desires into a blue and another Desires.
Yeah, but the second one,
But
it was fine. The
second
blue was all
Desire,
you needed.
Yeah.
this one-
The blue was all I needed. And then the Desires wasn't that dead because I went for a unicorn into
And then you
access
pitched
code.
it off Desires.
Yeah.
It was
So
discard
the
fodder.
Desires were just a free unicorn pitch. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. All right. Well, shit, bro. Congrats, bro, on winning the
thanks.
OTS championship. And for everybody out there watching, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Peace.